How's it going, guys? It's James here, and I'm gonna get with y'all about my BMT experience and what it was like. This is gonna be a series. I'm gonna kind of break it up within the weeks because honestly it's just too much to say within one video. So I'm gonna kind of start before BMT, so the whole MEPS, the delayed enlistment program, the whole 9 yards, and then I'm gonna tell you about why I joined, how 0 week went, and we'll probably get into a little bit of the first week as to how that went. And then if you have any questions or anything like that, be sure to drop them down in the comments down below. I just got out of the BMT not too long ago. I've been in for about over a year now, so I can answer some questions about the Air Force, how BMT is. I got some friends that just went through BMT not too long ago. I'm pretty new to all this stuff. I know there's plenty of videos out there. So you have Gott, I'll put his link here, and then there's other people. I'll just put them all in the description down below, people that I've watched that are in the Air Force. So there's plenty of resources out here for you guys. I know when I got in, Gott was a big one. BullyJuice was up and coming. So people like that, always reach out. We're more than happy to help you guys when it comes to these type of questions, or you don't know what's out there. So I'll also do some videos about my job specifically because I didn't see any about my job. There's a lot about security forces and finance and PJs and all that stuff, but there's nothing about my specific job. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in, but before we do that, I gotta get dressed because it's hot. It's like 30 degrees over here in Korea. It's actually like 34 degrees right now in Korea, but it's like 72 in my room, so I'm gonna change real quick and we're gonna get started. So let's do that. Hey, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, so first things first, and I got a message. So first things first, when it came to getting into BMT, you gotta go talk to a recruiter. Because if you were like in my situation, I didn't know anything about the military, what branch I wanted to be in. You know, in high school, you always had the Marines, and the Army always came to my school, you know, trying to get guys to. Never really had the Air Force come to my school, and so I really didn't know much about the Air Force. But I did have one buddy that graduated my high school, and he's been in for about 5 years now, so he knows a lot about the Air Force, and I was able to talk to him and get a bunch of information that I needed to like solidify me as to why I wanted to join the Air Force and not the Marine Corps, the Navy, or the Army, and I can't forget the Coast Guard. So I went to airforce.com. I was checking out some things. I'll put a link in the description down below as to where I went, but I created a profile, and as soon as I created a profile, from what my recruiter was telling me, is that it sends it out to the local recruiters, and they have within 24 hours to respond to you. I did not know this at the time, so when I was filling out the profile as to what I wanted, my name, my number, just made it like a regular profile, like a Facebook page. The reason I created a profile so that I could save jobs that I was interested in, and then once I did have the courage to go talk to a recruiter, because it is kind of intimidating, I was able to present him with some jobs that I really wanted or I was interested in. So 24 hours later, my recruiter, Technical Sergeant Bobby, he was a staff sergeant at the time, he contacted me, introduced himself. I was kind of shocked because I was like, whoa, who is this? Like, what are they doing? The Air Force is already trying to get me. Like, that's crazy. It's pretty cool though that they've already like put out that hand. They're like, hey, we want you. Getting to talk more and more to Technical Sergeant Bobbitt, I was able to feel more comfortable about joining the Air Force. I still wanted to talk to other recruiters and stuff like that, just to kind of get a full spectrum as to what I wanted to do before I just leap, you know, head first into a job or a branch that I didn't want. Sergeant Bobbitt, he invited me to come to his recruiting office, which was in Nacogdoches, Texas. Many of you might know where that's at, some might not, if not the oldest town in Texas. I believe it is the oldest town in Texas. Houston was a lot longer of a drive than Nacogdoches was, so it was really convenient for me. One day after work, scheduled an appointment with Sergeant Bobbitt, met up with him, started talking about my options in the Air Force as to what I wanted to do, what I was wanting to get out of the Air Force, what he got out of the Air Force, and he was probably one of the most transparent people I've known to this day. He wasn't like most recruiters, because I did talk to the Navy, I talked to the Marine Corps, I talked to the Army. I'm not dissing any of those branches by any means, because it's not the branch itself, it's the person. But Sergeant Bobbitt was there for me from day one, and I honestly enjoyed my experience going from day 0 to day 0 in BMT. So Sergeant Bobbitt then created a profile for me in his system. As we got to talking, I fell more and more in love, more comfortable with the Air Force than any of the other branches. Once the profile was created, then he started to ask me questions about my medical history, if I had any surgeries, if I ever smoked marijuana, things of that nature. And I've had 2 surgeries. Those 2 surgeries, I had a surgery in my mouth, and then I also had my appendix taken out. And then I also had a heart murmur when I was born, which then became benign shortly after. And I was able to get that set straight with the general surgeon. Having all that medical history, I had to have proof that everything was benign. So with the mouth surgery, I had a cyst in my mouth. I had to make sure that was benign, not cancerous. I also had to get the medical documentation for my appendix, and then on top of that with the heart murmur as well. And that's what really delayed me getting into the military as soon as possible, because they had to make sure that I was qualified to be in the military. Like if you have asthma, I believe now the Army is allowing people with waivers, but don't quote me on the Army. Go talk to your recruiter, because I honestly have no idea. But like for instance with marijuana, I believe if you smoke less than 3 times, I'm not really sure. Speak to your recruiter about that, because I don't know. I'm not a recruiter, but I know that there's a set limit of times that you smoke marijuana, but you can get a waiver for that, and once you get that waiver, you can no longer smoke marijuana, and they'll let you join the Air Force. So they're actually about to play the Korean national anthem real quick, so I'll let you get a quick sneak peek of what that sounds like. So now that that's over with, they did play the American National Anthem. I'm sure you've heard that before, so I'm not going to put that in the video. So once the general surgeon cleared me, I was able to go into the delayed enlistment programs. So I didn't go to MEPS, which is the Military Entrance Processing Station. Once you get to MEPS, you're going to take several tests, physically, mentally. You're going to make sure that your hearing is good, that your blood work is good. You're going to make sure that your eyes are good, that you can walk properly, that you don't have any crazy things wrong with your body. And then also, if you haven't taken the ASVAB, you're also going to take the ASVAB. So the ASVAB is only good for 30 days once you take it after your graduation. So since it was 3 years after my graduation, 3 or 4 years, and I took it online once I first spoke to Sergeant Bobbitt, because the process took 8 months, I had to retake it again because it was only good for 30 days. So I retook the ASVAB at MEPS. I believe I scored pretty high. It was in the 80s. I don't remember, but all I do remember is that I was basically qualified for almost every job in the Air Force. What could disqualify me was my eye exam, my depth perception test, my color vision test, and things of that nature. After I took my test, I did have to go do the physical test, which, like I mentioned earlier, was the depth perception test, color vision test, and I actually completely bombed the depth perception test. I have 0 depth perception, and the way the test looks is there's 4 dots in a line, and they go all the way down. I think it's maybe 20, I don't remember. I didn't make past first one. So these 4 dots also have another dot that's kind of off kiltered. So if you have 2 circles, if you could imagine 2 circles, one's gonna be a little bit off, and I'll try to put that on the screen so you can kind of see it. And of course, when it's blown up, it's really easy to see from where I was sitting at and how I was looking at it. Everything looked the same, and that's because I just don't have depth perception. And it did take me out of, I think, about 20 jobs that I may or may not have been interested in. They were gone, out the window. Passed the color vision test. Everything else I passed with flying colors. I was good to go. After MAPS, I went back to my recruiter. We discussed some more paperwork, and then I went home. But once my recruiter got all the information back that I passed, I was good to go. Now I could start looking for a job in the United States Air Force. So the new job listing came out in January, but I wanted to leave as soon as possible. So I was having to take the previous job listing for the last quarter, and there wasn't a lot of jobs available. On my dream sheet, I filled out 10 jobs that I was considering or that I might want to get. Number 10 was security forces. I believe my number 1 was computer programming, and then in the middle was fire protection. Just some intel jobs and computer jobs, because I really want to do something with computers. That's what I'm good with. The Air Force totally took me out of my comfort zone immediately. First job that popped up was emergency management. It's more of a smaller career field and you don't hear much about it. A lot of us know us as the CBRN guys, which is chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear warfare when it comes to that aspect. Emergency management popped up. I knew absolutely nothing about this job. I asked my recruiter about it, and he was honest with me. He really didn't know much about it. All he knew is that when he was deployed, the emergency managers came out and briefed him a little bit before he went out, passed the wire, and then that was really about all he could say. So doing some research on emergency management on my own, I really couldn't find anything. It was a pretty new career field. It just got their occupational badge in 2006 that kind of signified them as a CBRN unit. So trying to find information on emergency managers was quite difficult, because they used to be called disaster preparedness, but I didn't know that at the time. Form after form, and trying to dig for as much information as I could without trying to get invited to a Facebook page that was already a closed group. I honestly didn't know what I was getting myself into. The Air Force website portrayed it to be with pictures, kind of like this fire chief, somebody that was in charge that managed emergency incidents and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, I could do that. That's cool. That's not boring. I didn't want a boring job in the military. I didn't want to be behind a desk. I didn't want to be the quote unquote chair force. I wanted something different. Definitely was something different out of my comfort zone. I wasn't sure what it was, but it was the one job that could get me out of home and into the Air Force as soon as possible. And with this job, because it is such low manning, I was able to pick the day that I was leaving, which was phenomenal in my situation. I was able to pick the day I left, which was November 21st, 2016, because I wanted to spend Thanksgiving with my family. And then doing that, I was able to quit my job in a timely manner, didn't have to rush anything. I could plan everything out, and it was very smooth. Sometimes when you pick a job in the Air Force, you might not have that grace period to kind of pick what you want, do what you want, because they need you, and when they need you, they need you. So be sure whenever you're picking jobs and you're talking to your recruiter, there's transparency, that you understand everything that you're doing. And if you don't understand everything, ask your recruiter. That's his job, is to help you along the path of becoming an airman, or getting to the point to where the TIs can take over and then develop you into an airman. So getting ready for BMT, I didn't really know what to bring, but the Air Force just started the new backpack initiative. So all that means is that you really didn't have to bring anything. They were going to give you a backpack, not give it to you. You're going to pay for the backpack, but but it's gonna have everything you need inside of that backpack. So pens, paper, any item you absolutely need for basic military training is gonna be inside of that backpack. So everything is inside of it you're gonna need. And the reason they made that is for people that are coming overseas that can't really carry as much stuff as me coming from stateside that would be able to carry as much as I wanted. In a sense, it really helped out those people. So that backpacking initiative is something that I use in basic military training. Don't get me wrong, I still did bring some stuff that I wanted. I wanted to bring my own deodorant because I didn't know what kind they were gonna give me. There was just some things that I wanted to bring that was my own, and I was able to bring that. Now, that being said, there are some things you cannot bring to basic military training. And I'm going to leave a link in the description down below, a list of items that you should bring or that will be in your backpack and that you should not even think about bringing, and that's all going to be down below. So getting ready to leave, I was, like I said earlier, I was leaving November 21st 2016. It was going to be my 0 night in basic. So I actually left to BMT early that morning. It was around 6 a.m. I had my entire family come out to where I was swearing in for the final time. From that point on, that was the last time that I would see my family until graduation day during my 7th week of training. Getting to see my family one last time was an awesome motivator to get me through BMT. Having that extra motivation when times got a little tough was crucial. Am I saying BMT is hard? No. It's a bunch of mind games. If you can get through it here, you can get through it physically, because the physical part to me was nothing compared to the mental, because being an airman is a lot harder mentally than it is physically. I'm so glad I got Korea. I've learned so much in my job, so much about being an airman, and I absolutely love it. Signed some more documentation. I got my orders to go to BMT, and then I gave my final goodbyes to my family before I got on the bus. Hugged each and every single one of them, told them I loved them, took pictures. It was a pretty proud moment for my dad and my mom. And then I started to get on the bus, and it never really hit me until I got to the front gate of JBSA Lackland Air Force Base. It was just kind of a shock and awe moment going up to the front gate where security forces was, and they were just kind of looking at me, shaking their head, intimidating me, and it was just kind of like, wow, this is real. I just signed up the next 6 years of my life to the military. This is crazy. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. I can't talk right now. My voice is starting to go up because I've been talking way too much. Be sure to leave a like. Comment down below what you think about BMT. If you already been through BMT, tell me what your experience was when you went, what your training squadron was. If you haven't been to BMT, ask me some questions and I'll do my very best to get back to you as soon as possible. Be sure to subscribe and click the little alarm bell somewhere down here so you'll be alerted when my next video comes out. But until then, thanks for stopping by. My name is James. I'll check y'all later.